All right, peace, peace, peace. Well, first and foremost, man, hopefully the Most High in your house has blessing your day. By His mercies, you are consumed. We're alive in the Most High in your house has body, too. We're naturally alive. And I want to get into this, man, because this was in the morning prayers this morning, man. Genesis 27, man, with the whole Jacob and Esau, account, man, in the beginning, man. But also, too, man, just to go and show you, man, like, you know what? Because here's the thing, right? Because I didn't think about this, too. I was just, like, kind of, like, meditating on scripture. Honestly, though, all praise to the Most High in your house, honestly, too. But, I didn't get to the student. Had drove in my hand. I still didn't get it off. Anyway, yeah, man, I didn't think about this, man. But honestly, a lot of times too, because we about to get that too in Iraq, man. When it goes into like when we say and when the word goes into how things are on the Most High house as time, sometimes, man, that time might be quickly. Honestly, it might be speedily. It might be like it could be for like it could be for of course for judgment or like or for something like a blessing, honestly. But that's more another thing for another day as far as the judgment thing. But as far as like things like one we should be doing the Most High house as will, be before our own will comes. That's what that Matthew 6 is about. That's what Yahushua says: seek the kingdom first, inwardly and physically, man. But like how's that one having faith and living according to the promises and like obedience as his instruction, his law, statutes, and commandments, man. But even in that, right, when things are the Most High house has timing, man, like that Romans 8:28 says, or what we about to get into in Ecclesiastes Sirach 51, man. Sometimes the Most High house might deem you to be ready during the time, and things might be happening quick for you. Because you know what it is too, because honestly too, like what was that comedian's name? Freddie, I think was it Freddie Prince? It was because I was watching a documentary about some comedians. Honestly, it was like the top 100 or top some comedians, and it was about Freddie Prince Jr. It was what was his name? It was an old Hispanic comedian, but and one of the people that I was talking about it says some people like rise to the top is very long and very very long. It might take them years and years and a decade or something plus and things and nature. But some people rise like to some people's rise like to success is very quick, man. That's all the Most High house has timing too. So just because it's on the Most High house has timing, usually conventionally, yeah, usually it's like because it's really patience, man. Because we know the faith works patience, but and this doesn't happen all the time too as well. Because what we're talking about here, but sometimes it might come quickly, honestly, like But so let's get this too, because let's get Genesis chapter 27. Verse 20, it says, and Isaac said unto his son, how is it hast thou found it so quickly, my son? And in verse and people Isaac says, it says, I'm sorry, this is Jacob when he was putting on Esau's hair, putting on the garment to be as Esau putting on because Esau is hairy. Honestly, that's why I'm like physically I believe that they're like the progenitor of the Caucasian, but it doesn't matter. Pretty much like the brother some of your first one said, don't be like Esau, like profane. Pretty much don't be like this man. Whether you believe he's a progenitor or patriarch of the Caucasian nation, or if you think he was the Arab man, or even if you think he was dark skinned man, it doesn't matter. Don't be like him. But anyway, but this is when Jacob was putting on what Rebecca told him to do, to put on a hairy garment so he could be like Esau. But spiritually, like testimony wise, that's putting on the firstborn. Honestly, you're putting it on, and who's the firstborn? Yahushua. So you got to put him off, and that goes into putting the old man and the old woman off. But that's something for another day. But yeah, but let's read this again. Genesis chapter 27, verse 20. It says, and Isaac said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? And he said, because the Lord thy God brought it to me. So see, he said, how hast thou found it so quickly, my son? Because he said, because the Lord thy God brought it to me. So yeah, that could be anything. I know, of course, in contextually, it's something about what we just talked about, how Jacob was getting the blessing, but that could be anything, but like even things that happen quickly, man. Honestly, like because sometimes when certain things happen too quickly for you, that's not always a bad thing. It might be the Most High house that says, like actually might be ready for this. Honestly, too. But and also too in those situations where you get certain things quickly, don't undermine that. Honestly, hold on, y'all. Yeah, so don't undermine that. Honestly, yeah, man, because you might it might not be something that you wanted, but it happened quickly. But usually stuff that um happens like that, we have to wait for. But even something that you like, but see that's kind of going to another the conversation how the eyes of men are never satisfied. But pretty much, man, even if you get something quickly, a lot of times too, that's not always bad. Honestly, now is it really honestly the case most of the time? No, but honestly, sometimes if you get things quickly, honestly, depending on how you got it, because don't get it twisted. Because what Proverbs says about getting things hastily, man, usually it's going to get you know it's going to crumble, man. Just like that's why even in the drug game, honestly, that's why most of those drug dealer kingpins empires fell because it was gotten hastily. It wasn't their run wasn't really too long. So that's neither here nor there. But yeah, man, that's not always a bad thing. But let's read this again. It says Genesis chapter 27 verse 20. He said unto his son, how is it that thou hast found it so quickly, my son? Because the Lord thy God brought it to me. So yeah, let's get John 3:27. I think that was a comedian's name, Freddie Prinze Jr. I think so, because he had got a sitcom, but he died early. I'm trying to remember the doc. I can't remember the documentary, but it is what it is. John chapter 3 verse 27. John answered and said, a man can receive nothing except to be given him from heaven. Exactly, man. So yeah, man, because that's what he said. Because the Most High House, I gave it to him, man, and it happened quickly, man. Like and it can happen quickly, honestly. Now that was the context of the situation, but shoot, anything, man. But anything with the Most High House, nothing's impossible, man. Like Jeremiah even said that in Genesis, the Abraham and Yahushua said it. So yeah, man. But let's grab this too. Ecclesiastes. It says, work your work for times, and in his time he will give you rewards. Now, usually, man, usually that faith works patience. Usually we have to be patient towards something. But sometimes in his time, it might, the Most on your house's time, now let me say this disclaimer, it's not always the case, but it might be something quickly, like, oh, wow. I'm like, and be appreciative of it. I didn't think that would happen that fast, but it did. Because, certain times I'm pretty sure you brother sister experiences something like this. You didn't think something that will happen that fast for you, and it did. But, honestly, like but certain things like in my life that happened very fast. I was actually really shocked, man, because even me getting up in here, man, it was years and years of grinding up here to get my own, get my own place, man. All praise to the Most High House, man. Especially a whole year of 2023. Oh man, but it felt longer, but it was long, but because I took a lot of like apartment tours and things of that nature, but it's actually, if you think about it, for being a year, it was actually relatively quicker, man. Because I thought, no, it actually was quicker. I thought it was going to take me a year or something. So that's all the most on your house shot. But that's another example of that, man. Because it was kind of both and both. But I would say it was either even kind of quicker. Now during the time, it didn't feel that way because honestly, I was kind of in the moment. But now think about it, I was like, yeah, man, I could have been like, with my current situation, like, at home, for another year or so. That's just one example, man. But yeah, man, just sometimes it happens quickly. For the most part, it doesn't. But if it does, man, like, it's not always bad. Like, no, sometimes depending on what you're doing, how you're living, or it could be that, like, it could be like something that's really the Most High House that's testing you. Like, all right, cool. Are you gonna put this before me? Honestly, now that's another aspect of that too. But even if you get something bad, it's not always like a bad thing to get something fast. It's not always bad. I said something bad, something fast. It's not always bad either. So because like we see this in the beginning, we see this right in Genesis 27, man. Because the Most High House, I gave it to you quickly, honestly. Because they in their time, you were deemed ready for it. So it's all about their timing, honestly. So let's read this again. Yeah, but let me say this too. That's not always the case. So that's not always the case. Ecclesiastes chapter 51 verse 30. Work your work for times, and in his time he will give you your reward. So, yeah, man. So hopefully that was edifying, man. Hopefully the Most High House blesses y'all day. So peace.